Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on, you're okay.
In the Coldplay kiss cam saga that's gone viral around the world, Astronomer CEO Andy Byron has resigned. He's yet to comment on the incident, as is his colleague Kristen Kat, but the internet sure has.
It was supposed to be just another magical Coldplay concert. July 16th, Gillette Stadium in Boston, 65,000 fans under the stars. Lights were flashing, people were crying, and Chris Martin was doing what he does best, hypnotizing the crowd with music and charm. But what no one saw coming was that this night would accidentally blow up the personal life and billion-dollar career of one man in the most humiliating way possible. That man? Andy Byron, CEO of a skyrocketing tech company called Astronomer. He wasn't there alone. Sitting right next to him in the VIP section was Kristen Kat, the company's HR director. And here's the twist. Both of them were very much married to other people. Now here's where it all went off the rails. The kiss cam, usually just a fun, harmless concert gimmick, locked onto the two of them. And instead of laughing it off, or just waving to the camera, Andy and Kristen looked like deer caught in headlights. They awkwardly shifted away from each other, clearly panicked, and that's when Chris Martin dropped the line that would light the internet on fire. Either they're having an affair, or they're just very shy. 16 words. That's all it took. The crowd laughed.
Chris moved on.
But within hours, that moment had been clipped, captioned, memed, and reposted across every platform imaginable. TikTok, Reddit, Instagram, it exploded. Over 50 million views in less than a week. Viewers weren't just laughing. They were zooming in, analyzing expressions, reading body language, and dragging the couple across the digital universe. Some were calling it the corporate kiss cam disaster of the decade. Commenters weren't subtle either. HR really taking care of the CEO personally. Bro's about to lose his wife, job, and shares, all in one concert. Coldplay concerts causing more divorces than marriage counselors. It was a meme goldmine and a personal nightmare for Andy Byron. What started as a joke turned into a public inquisition. People didn't just want to laugh, they wanted blood. And that one viral moment was about to take down everything Andy had built. But what happened next? No one could have seen coming. For most people, going viral means a few awkward DMs or a temporary ego boost. But for Andy Byron, that kiss cam clip detonated his entire personal and professional life in under 72 hours. The first blow came at home. Andy's wife, Megan, wasn't just humiliated, she was furious. Not only had her husband been caught on camera looking like he was mid-affair, he did it in front of tens of millions of strangers. Sources close to the family say Megan didn't just pack her bags. She hit Andy where it hurt the most, in the wallet. According to reports, Megan demanded $35 million in a divorce settlement, or a 5% lifetime stake in Astronomer, his company. Her logic? Public humiliation deserves public compensation. And honestly, after having your marriage unravel in front of the internet, who could blame her? But the damage didn't stop there. Back at Astronomer, things were already getting ugly. Investors were panicking. Employees were gossiping. The company's Golden Boy CEO and its top HR executive were now the punchline of every meme on LinkedIn and Reddit. Internal Slack threads reportedly lit up with screenshots and speculation. This wasn't just bad optics, it was a full-blown leadership crisis. By the end of the week, both Andy and Kristen submitted their resignations. Yes, you read that right. The CEO and HR director of a billion-dollar company both stepped down because of a kiss cam joke at a concert. To make things even messier, Astronomer's board of directors wasted no time accepting their exits. The company released a short, PR-safe statement that didn't mention Coldplay, the kiss cam, or the affair, but everyone already knew. The internet had connected every. And just like that, two executive careers were toast. One moment of awkward body language, one offhand remark from a pop star, and years of work disappeared into a digital bonfire. Andy Byron didn't just lose his marriage, he lost the company he built. Kristen Kat, once a respected HR powerhouse, vanished from the corporate world overnight. But here's the kicker. Instead of taking responsibility for his own downfall, Andy decided to go after Chris Martin. And that decision? It turned this scandal from a meme into a full-blown legal circus. You'd think after losing your wife, your job, and your dignity on the internet, you might take a step back, maybe lay low for a while. But not Andy Byron. Instead of owning the moment, or even just going quiet, Andy made a move that had people everywhere doing a double take. He decided to threaten a lawsuit against Chris Martin. Yep, you heard that right. According to multiple insiders, Andy began reaching out to legal teams claiming emotional distress, defamation, and, wait for it, violation of privacy. His argument? That Chris Martin's onstage joke turned him into a meme without his consent, publicly exposed his alleged affair, and ruined his personal and professional life. He wasn't just blaming the internet. He was blaming Coldplay. It sounds absurd, and that's exactly how Chris Martin reacted. Sources close to the band say Chris literally laughed out loud when he heard Andy was lawyering up. He couldn't believe someone was actually trying to sue over a concert kiss cam moment. And honestly, most of the internet couldn't either. But Andy was serious. He wanted accountability. He wanted revenge. Or maybe he just wanted someone else to take the fall for his own mess. He began drafting legal documents, consulted high-powered attorneys, reportedly made direct claims that Chris Martin had knowingly humiliated him and caused a digital firestorm that led to irreversible damage. But here's the problem. Andy was trying to fight a battle he couldn't possibly win. For starters, when you attend a concert, especially one at a massive stadium like Gillette, you're automatically agreeing to be filmed. It's printed on every ticket, every venue disclaimer, and broadcast throughout the show. There's no such thing as privacy in a crowd of 65,000 people. And that's just the beginning. To win a defamation case, Andy would have to prove that Chris Martin's statement that he and Kristen were possibly having an affair was false. That means making a sworn, public denial. And guess what? Neither Andy nor Kristen has denied it. Not once. Not publicly. Not even a vague, it's not what it looks like. So, while Andy built a legal fantasy in his head, the rest of the world, and especially Chris Martin, was laughing. But Chris wasn't done. His response took this from drama to masterclass-level trolling. Chris Martin could have clapped back. He could have hired lawyers, fired off a cold statement, or tried to bury the situation in legal speak. But instead, he did something so casually savage it turned a scandal into a viral masterclass in public trolling. He laughed. Not a polite chuckle. According to insiders, when Chris Martin heard that Andy Byron was threatening legal action over the kiss cam moment, he burst out laughing and reportedly said, "Wait, he's suing for getting caught." That's when the internet fully turned. Any shred of sympathy Andy might have earned evaporated the moment people realized Coldplay's frontman wasn't just unbothered, he was thriving. And then Chris started to have fun with it. At his next few concerts, fans noticed something curious. Right before the Kiss Cam segment, Chris would pause and give the crowd a cheeky reminder. "Just so you all know, we're filming tonight. If you're here with someone you shouldn't be, maybe keep your heads down." Cue audience laughter. Another subtle jab. No names mentioned, but everyone knew. It became part of the show. A running joke. Chris turned what could have been a PR nightmare into a crowd-pleasing moment of viral catharsis. No lawsuits. No press conferences. Just vibes, cameras, and cold-blooded shade. Meanwhile, Andy Byron was scrambling. Legal experts quickly began weighing in, and the verdict was unanimous. His case was a joke. Any emotional distress claims were undermined by the fact that Andy willingly attended a public concert. And as for being filmed without consent, total nonsense. Every venue includes public recording disclosures. Plus, let's not forget, Chris Martin never actually said they were having an affair. He offered two possibilities. Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. That's not a statement of fact. It's a joke. Legally, it's called protected speech. So, not only did Chris Martin shut down the lawsuit without lifting a finger, he actually managed to turn Andy Byron into a punchline again. But here's the real kicker. The kiss cam didn't create the scandal. It just dragged what everyone at Astronomer already suspected into the light. And what people inside the company knew. That's where things get even darker. The internet may have been shocked, but inside Astronomer? Hardly anyone was surprised. Long before the kiss cam caught Andy Byron and Kristen Kat squirming in front of 65,000 people, whispers had already been echoing through the company's hallways. According to multiple former employees, rumors of a too-close relationship between the CEO and HR director had been circulating for months. It wasn't just office gossip. Colleagues had noticed late-night meetings, business trips that conveniently overlapped, and the kind of casual closeness that made people uncomfortable. Some even claimed Kristen had quietly blocked internal complaints about Andy's behavior, fueling speculation that the two were protecting each other behind the scenes. But no one had proof, just theories. That is, until Coldplay's camera crew unknowingly dropped the mic. One employee put it bluntly in an anonymous post on Blind. The concert didn't expose anything new. It just confirmed what everyone already thought but couldn't say out loud. And that's what made this moment so explosive. The kiss cam wasn't the scandal, it was the receipt. It confirmed months of tension and suspicion that had been building behind closed doors. Suddenly, the company's silence on past red flags looked less like professionalism and more like a cover-up. Employees were furious. Investors were spooked. And HR? Completely compromised. Kristen Kat was supposed to be the gatekeeper of company ethics and compliance. Instead, she'd become the centerpiece of its most embarrassing downfall. As one analyst put it, when your HR director is starring in the scandal, there's no way to spin it clean. And that's what made Andy's legal threats so ridiculous to people inside the company. He wasn't just caught, he was exposed in a way that confirmed what everyone had quietly suspected. His downfall wasn't triggered by Chris Martin. It was triggered by his own behavior finally catching up with him in front of millions. Still, Andy wasn't ready to let it go. As the legal threats continued to swirl and the internet kept roasting, the reality of the situation grew more undeniable by the day. Because once lawyers started digging into the facts, Andy's argument didn't just fall apart, it completely backfired. And what came next was the harshest legal reality check of all. Andy Byron may have stormed into his lawyer's office thinking he had a slam-dunk case, but the legal reality hit harder than any meme ever could. The first issue? Expectation of privacy. When you buy a ticket to a concert, especially one hosted in a giant stadium with cameras everywhere, you're agreeing to be filmed. It's on the back of every ticket. It's in the fine print. It's announced during the show. You are not in your living room. You're in a public arena with 65,000 people and broadcast quality equipment rolling. So, the claim that Andy's privacy was violated? Legally worthless. Second issue. Defamation. For Andy to sue Chris Martin and Coldplay for defamation, he'd need to prove two things. One, that Chris made a false statement of fact. And two, that the statement caused damage to Andy's reputation. But here's the kicker. Chris Martin never said Andy was cheating. What he said was, either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. That's not a fact. That's a joke. And under US law, jokes, satire, and expressions of opinion are protected speech. The moment Chris said either / or, he gave himself legal cover. It's vague, non-accusatory, and clearly meant to be humorous, not defamatory. Strike two for Andy. But the third issue? That one was brutal, truth. If Andy really wanted to pursue legal action, he'd have to go on the record, under oath, and declare that no affair ever happened. He'd have to open his private life to legal scrutiny, emails, texts, locations, dates. In court, everything becomes discoverable. And the risk? That it was true. Because here's what his legal team likely told him. If you deny the affair and we lose, you're not just embarrassed. You're officially exposed. And that, more than anything, is probably why this lawsuit never left the ground. Because as loud as Andy was behind closed doors, he never actually filed. He never stepped into court. He never released a public denial. Because maybe, just maybe, Chris Martin's joke wasn't far off the mark. But if you think this is where the story ends, think again. The fallout for Astronomer was just beginning, and what came next dragged everyone down with it. By the time the internet moved on to the next scandal, the wreckage at Astronomer was still smoldering. Andy Byron and Kristen Kat had vanished from the company's leadership page almost overnight. Their LinkedIn accounts went silent. Press contacts stopped responding. For a billion-dollar tech firm that had been riding high just weeks before, the silence was deafening. Astronomer's board scrambled to stop the bleeding. They appointed Pete DeJoy, a low-profile but respected operations executive, as interim CEO. His job? Clean up the mess, restore investor confidence, and quietly rebuild the trust shattered by one very public implosion. But the company's problems weren't just reputational. Internally, morale had tanked. Employees who had once admired Andy's leadership were left questioning everything. Former staffers leaked that the "don't date coworkers" policy had been more of a suggestion than a rule. The HR department had lost all credibility. Some even left the company, unwilling to work under leadership that had ignored so many red flags for so long. Meanwhile, Andy and Kristen were left picking up the pieces of their personal lives. Andy's divorce proceedings moved forward, reportedly messy, expensive, and deeply public. Kristen's marriage? Also reportedly over. Neither has landed another public-facing role since the scandal. In the eyes of the business world, they didn't just burn bridges, they torched their entire reputations. And that lawsuit Andy had so confidently threatened? Still just that, a threat. No filings. No court dates. No public statements. Legal insiders say it quietly died in a lawyer's office somewhere, after someone likely told Andy the hard truth. You can't see your way out of a viral mistake. Chris Martin, on the other hand, he's still selling out stadiums. His only response since the kiss cam chaos has been playful warnings during concerts and the occasional smirk mid-performance. No bitterness. No legal counterpunch. Just a rock star watching someone else's meltdown unfold from center stage. And while Andy might have wanted to make Chris Martin the villain of his story, the internet had already made up its mind. Because in this modern age of viral justice, the cameras never really stop rolling. And one bad look is all it takes to lose everything.